When I came out here, I came out with my son and we were trying to find the grave. And my son excitedly said, "Dad, it's here." He was like 6 years old at the time. And I was like, "Son, you realize you're the first Sikh to stand here in front of Buckam Singh in over 100 years." So it was just such a special moment, especially when we saw that big, large maple leaf. Growing up here, I never learned about the Sikh participation in the world wars, so it was so emotional to stand and actually look at a gravestone that's almost 100 years old. It was heartbreaking for Sikhs who tried to join up and were turned away. Basically, they were told, "Sorry, fellas, this is a white man's war, and we don't want brown or colonial people fighting Europeans because then it would degrade the image of Europeans." A lot of the early Sikh pioneers living in Canada at the time were from ex-British Indian Army. And that's why they were so excited to join up. And there's accounts they were so heartbroken that many of them burned their medals. It was just a really traumatic experience for them.
The interesting piece is that the Sikh community has had a long military tradition, and why they decided to serve, even though there was many barriers facing them here in Canada, the discrimination, disenfranchisement, and you would, logically ask a question, why would they want to serve? And the service goes above citizenship. It's a concept of service, of duty, of honor, and those were the principles for which Sikh soldiers served for Canada and the Commonwealth.
They may not have been wanted, but to answer the call and to become part of the military, they were certainly needed, and that was something special. And there was a real fascination and pride knowing that there was a continuity, that I'd be standing on the shoulders of these members that had gone before and that had already faced many challenges.
The 10 Sikh soldiers who fought for Canada, they really are pioneers, not only just in having immigrated and contributed to Canada, but really pushing the boundaries of society at the time and racism. I can just close my eyes and imagine the scene in Fort Smith at the recruiting center where he says, "I want to join Canada." And somebody looked him in the eye and said, "Son, yes, you can." There is hope for the inclusive country that we became. And I think the beginnings of that kind of sense of inclusion happened to these 10 Sikh soldiers. So having discovered his grave and knowing that he died without any family or without any Sikh religious rites, I thought that it would be a good idea at the time of remembrance just to have a gathering here at his grave and have Sikh prayers. And so we started that, and a few people showed up.
The very first time, I was the only soldier in uniform to stand here and learn more about Private Buckam Singh. It forged a compulsion to just create that connection for others and to really want to share the story. To have a stamp that now commemorates the Sikh contribution, it's just something that will crisscross the country and connect the country and share that story.
I hope it's a stepping stone for people to learn more about the story and the journey of not only just the Sikh community in Canada as a whole, but in fact the Sikh soldiers that fought and served for Canada as well. And so it's an opportunity to then also go deeper and remember all the soldiers that fought for Canada.
The Canada Post stamp is just such a special honor and a sense of pride, I think, for all Canadians, because it really gets a chance to show an aspect of Canadian history that most people may not be aware of, and celebrate our diversity, which is really our strength as a nation. You know, looking at that grave, it really brings home the fact that having been here in Canada for over 100 years, we really have contributed to the history of Canada with our blood, sweat, and tears, just like all the other immigrant communities. And looking at that grave and that big maple leaf really drives that home.